The first question. That's okay. That's um, deontological. It has to do with what we ought to do. So first differentiation we have is between theoretical reasoning and practical reasoning. So theoretical reasoning tells us the effect of alcohol consumption on the body. So the transfer from the alcohol into your blood to your brain, similar to what we saw with cigarettes. Uh, so theoretical reason is, in theory, what happens when you consume alcohol? What effect does it have on your blood, on your brain, and on your consciousness and your concentration? Practical reason is what we ought to do. So it tells us that we ought not to drink and drive. So for some people, they like to have a drink with dinner, part of their culture. Some people don't drink at all. It's against their culture or their religion. Some people simply don't like drinking. Some people love drinking. Some people binge drink, especially university students, parties and everything. So theory is just what happens when you drink, and then what do you do with drinking? If you aren't going to drink, there's no issue there. If you are going to drink, should you also drive? So you're free to drink, you're free to drive, you're free to drink and drive, but should you drink and drive? That's your practical reasoning. Okay. And this is a picture. We had one a couple of years ago. They brought one of these smashed cars in the parking lot, to the side of the school. And the result is people get hurt. So for Immanuel Kant, the aim of a moral life is the good is the aim of moral life, concerned with moving toward practical certainty in ethics. God, for Immanuel Kant, humans cannot, out of their own power, achieve the supreme good. There are too many circumstances beyond our control. For this reason, Kant proposes the existence of God to allow us to achieve the supreme good. So for Kant, God is the ultimate goodness. It's a target that we have to set for us. Be like God. Freedom is supreme good. If the supreme good is to be in part our achievement, then what we ought to do, we can do. To have the duty to do something, we must be able to do it. Therefore, Kant argues humans are by nature free. That's important. So the bird flew out of the cage, unfortunately, smashed right into the window, not realizing there was a window. We had that problem in Toronto, all these birds smashing into buildings. Because the lights allow them to fly, and they don't see the building besides the light. But by nature, Kant believes that we are free. And that's important. The same thing as Aristotle, same thing as Socrates and Plato. Okay? Freedom is important for us. It's what you do with the freedom. Immortality. Achieving the supreme good is an immense task. It is impossible to attain it completely in this life. That is why there is immortality, a life beyond, in which we can achieve the supreme good. So here it says, it may very well bring about immortality, but I will take forever to test it. Some potion. Fountain of youth, perhaps. Okay, goodwill. Deontological. Deon means to bind. Goodwill, the will to do our duty for no other reason that it is our duty. So we want to be happy. According to Kant, you do the good because it's our duty to be good. And therefore, it's our duty to be good, not just to do good. In religion class, I always teach that God is a God of love. God created us to love, therefore we should love others. This is the only thing unconditionally good. It is an independent and internal factor. The ontological human action is morally good when it is done for the sake of duty. Therefore, moral worth is not measured by the results of the action, but the motive behind it. So, what's going on in your head, not the action, it's your intention. So, let's see. Moses comes down on Mount Sinai and says, I can't read this. Sorry, I can't read it. I'll have to figure out what it is. Can you read it? Mine didn't come out clear.
The ontology comes from the Greek word means. I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is there's only 10 of them. The bad news is you can't change the name of the 10 suggestions.
Okay, thank you. And the goodwill is the will to do our duty for another reason that is our duty. Impulses and desires draw us away from our duty. That's the appetites, the desires, the wants. So uh, in the cartoon, Moses is saying these are commandments, not suggestions. In other words, you have to follow them. So intentions and consequences. So you can look at Calvin and Hobbes. I'm having trouble seeing today. I'll let you look at that. Morality and legality. The moral worth of action is in the intention, therefore arises a need to distinguish morality from legality. If morality characterizes duty-based actions, legality characterizes actions in accordance to duty that may have been made for selfish purposes. According to Kant, it's the respect for the moral law and the feeling of duty that should drive us to act. So you have lots of laws that, although legal, are not moral. Slavery in the United States was legal at one time. So just because Supreme Court of the United States say that blacks are animals and you're allowed to possess them and own them and sell them and trade them and deny them their freedom doesn't mean that it is ethical or moral. It's the duty that's important, the intention behind it. And if it denies people their self-respect and their sense of equality, it's a bad law. Women in Canada weren't considered to be people until the 1920s. Prior to that, they were considered to be chattels. A chattel is property. So the man owned the woman, and that was the law. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's ethical or moral. Autonomy. An autonomous will is a good will when the duty for the duty's sake is accomplished, obeying to reason and ignoring external factors. Heteronomous will is not a good will because it doesn't fulfill duty for the duty's sake, submitting itself to factors other than reason. So autonomous means autonomous, which means you are a lawmaker. Auto is self, nomos is law. So whatever you do for Kant, you become a lawmaker, a law doer. You are the law. So if you lie, you're saying lying is good. If you steal, you're creating a law saying that stealing is good. Follow my example. If you share and are generous, then you're saying that sharing and generosity is the law that people should follow. Your example becomes the law. Subjective and objective principles. Moral action must be objective, universal for everybody, not subjective, personal, individually. Thus, Kant proposes I had never to act except in such a way that I would want everyone in the world to act. That's his maxim. Okay. Uh, Duty, what ought you to do is determined by maxims. according to which we act. An ethical maxim is one in which every ethical person would necessarily act if reason would necessarily act, the reason were fully in charge of his or her actions. So this is the first maxim. So in your journal, you have to talk about cheating, whether or not you have a duty to cheat. You have to use both of Kant's maxims. That was from your homework yesterday. The first maxim and most famous one is I should act in a way that I would want everyone else in the world to act. If I cheat, I give permission to everybody else to cheat. I encourage them. In fact, I'm saying that cheating is okay. This is similar to, as Andrew pointed out right away at the beginning class, the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is in Luke. Now, in the Gospel of Luke, this is the positive version of the maxim. Immanuel Kant is the negative. And what Immanuel Kant is saying that is that if you don't want people to steal from you, then you don't steal. If you don't want people to cheat, you don't cheat. Because if you say cheating is okay, it's not just on a test. It's cheating on relationships. Is okay. It's cheating on your taxes. And the ultimate form of cheating is essentially lying. You're cheating someone the truth. And the truth is important for people to make decisions. So Immanuel Kant is saying is that whatever you do, you become the autonomous person, the person who makes laws for everybody. And so do everybody else. So they're going to follow your example. And be careful that, again, you can expand that idea of cheating to include lying, to include relationships, to include taxes, everything. Okay, because you're the example. I talked about my father smoking. My father's smoking was an example to my brothers and I and my sister. I chose not to follow my dad's example of smoking, mainly because it bothered my eyes. I hated the smell. My brother chose to emulate, follow my dad's example and smoke. He did it on the slide because he was young until he got caught. But he still smokes about 4 packs a day. Yeah, 4 packs a day. More than half of it gets burned on the ashtray. He puts it on the ashtray and it goes. But the thing is that the whole room fills with smoke. Okay. So when it comes to cheating on a task, your journal, you should write half a page on the first maxim. Second part of your journal is the second maxim. Act in such a way that you always treat humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of another, never simply as a means, but always at the same time as an end. So start talking about means and ends. You don't use people to get something. That's treating them as means, not respecting them for who they are as people. Treat people as ends, not solely as a means. Treat people with the respect of human dignity beyond occupation or class. For example, a worker is a person too, not merely a means of production and profit on a line. Therefore, you must ensure, if you are a supervisor or you own this plant, that there is basic decency when it comes to health and safety, when it comes to allowing people to take breaks to go to the washroom, allowing people to work in a safe environment. In our COVID situation, a lot of companies, especially meat factories, assembly lines are getting COVID because they're too close together and not socially distanced. Because money is important, profits are important, production is more important. So what Kant is saying, the second one is Not only do you show an example to others, but you always treat them like they are people, not things, not objects, something to use, something to get pleasure in. That's exactly what we talked about with Aristotle. Always treat them like they are important, even more important than you. The first maxim essentially is love your neighbor as yourself, but you love your neighbor first, as if that person were another self, or as Aristotle will say, perfect friendship in your relationship with other people. So when you cheat, you're cheating other people in the class. You're profiting by having an advantage, an unfair advantage. Your mark goes higher, somebody else's mark, especially when it comes to averages, goes down. And if you see somebody and you know somebody's cheating in class or online and you don't say anything, well, you're hurting yourself too. Because in the end, they might get 93 and you might get 92. And you apply to university and they're going to the university of the choice, the program of choice, and because you were honest and you didn't have advantage, but you kept quiet, it's hurt you. So the cheater is not treating you like a person. You're in fact in the way of them succeeding. Okay. Uh, Kingdom of Ends. I'll just let you read this. And we go to this challenge. It's a universal law. Treat humans as ends in themselves. Act as if you live in a kingdom of ends. That everybody is following the maxims. Kingdom of ends essentially means that everybody is showing a good example for everyone else and treating each other as if they're important, their ends, not means to your own utility and pleasure. And the last slide is what we call a dare to know. Uh, Kant believes that we should not be ostriches with our head in the sand when it comes to you, yourself, and others. So dare to know means have the courage to use your own intelligence. Like Aristotle said, think before you act. Find out information. If it's wrong, something inside you is bothering you. Be mature. Don't act childish. Grow up. Don't do things that children do. Beware of relying on guardians. Be independent. Be free. Don't always lean on guardians. Here would be your parents or the government or your company that you work for or your school. Be self-sufficient. Make your own decisions. Make them good decisions. Make public use of your intelligence. Use your intelligence out in the world. And of course, as we saw in Socrates, question everything. Don't take everybody's word. Make sure that what they're saying, what they're doing is right. Find out for yourself. Okay, so let's stop there. So we'll stop there and let's see if there's any questions about Kant. First from the class, any questions? What's important with Immanuel Kant is the two maxims. That's the key point here. Do not do anything that you would not want done to yourself. Be a lawmaker. And number two, treat everybody as ends with the respect and dignity they deserve as human beings. And if you treat people as if they're important, you'll never use them. You'll always respect them, treat them with equality, with fairness, with justice. Okay, you're becoming a virtuous person. Okay, any questions about Immanuel Kant? It's kind of good because it relates to our Catholic Christian tradition. And of course, if you're Jewish or Muslim, the same thing, same ideas. Okay, no questions? Okay, so your journal should be sent to me. Try and get it done before you leave class. Um, for homework, the next section on the from the textbook is Emmanuel Levinas, and that'll finish our second unit. Surprise! Just three quick philosophers: Aristotle, Kant, Levinas. So tomorrow we'll take up Levinas. Uh, have a small assignment for you on all three of these, and then start watching our next movie assignment. Fasting, and this is going to be To Kill a Mockingbird, and it's in black and white. And it's a classic, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Once you get used to black and white and gray. Okay, so what I want to do now is I sent you the PowerPoint presentation on Aristotle. I didn't save it properly at home, but something's going on with my USB, so I'm going to probably get a new USB. The Kant I emailed to you, so you'll have the Kant presentation, and that's what I was using. So now we're going to see if I can get Immanuel Kant. Yep. Aristotle. This is yesterday's PowerPoint presentation that messed up. Okay. Let's see if I can get this slideshow. These will just bear with me. Okay, here we go. So this is from yesterday's class. My apologies, I ended up with my notes. Okay, for Aristotle, the good is what all things aim at. Same as Kant, same as Socrates. This universal idea of goodness, which the religious call God, is what we aim for. And so we want to be good people. We study ethics not merely to know what the good is, but to attain the goods and to live good lives. That's morality. What is a good life? Some people think it's a life of wealth. Some people think it's a life of pleasure. Some a life of honor, and some say a life of virtue. And no life-busting tragedies. Things that get in the way from our goodness. Aristotle believed that every human action is directed towards an aim. So everything you do has what I describe as a transitive effect on other
Good
people.
morning, staff and students. Sorry for this interruption at this time. We have an important announcement with regards to our alarm system. Currently, the system is on test. In the event that you were hear the fire alarm, please do not evacuate. In the event of an actual emergency, we will be coming on the PA staff to back into the building. We can do that.
Okay. I get up in the morning because I'm aiming to do something, go to work, go to school. I go to work because I want to earn a living or have a career. I want earnings, a career, so that I can have a good life, family, shelter, etc. So every action has a goal, an aim. We're doing it for some reason. Teleological have to do with the design or purpose of something. So what's the aim? What's the good? A house is built to live in. A clock is made to keep time. According to Aristotle, the end that human beings aspire to is happiness. Teleology is the good at which all things aim. The aim of a human life is happiness, just like the aim of medicine is health. The aim of shipbuilding is a ship. The aim of any sports game is victory. And the aim of any domestic economy is wealth. And the aim goal of human life is happiness. We're talking about happiness from the beginning. Aristotle's basic idea was that we can decide what it is for something to be in a good state by looking at its purpose. The purpose of human life is happiness. That's what all of us aim at in our actions. So I repeated myself. Okay, so this is important. This is your triangles that I have. So I wish the slide was reversed. So we have three natures to us: a vegetative nature, a sensitive nature, and a rational nature. Like plants and animals, we have a vegetative nature. We feed ourselves, we grow mature, and we also reproduce our species. We have children. So in that sense, we're similar to all of creation, plants, animals. We also have a sensitive. And what I've added to at the end is has feelings. Here, with my feelings, I mean senses. I can see, I can hear, I can touch, I can smell, I can taste it. I can try to understand those feelings, those sensations. What we have distinct from all the animals and plants is our ability to reason. So that's the triangle I gave you in the notes. At the bottom, our rational intellectual capacity to contemplate ideas and cosmos. So we are in control of ourselves because of our ability to reason, which is our intellect, and our will, which is the ability to choose. So these are two different parts of what he calls a soul. Theoretical reasoning gives us a knowledge of fixed principles, and practical, it guides our moral action. This is what we're looking at when we looked at Immanuel Kant, between theoretical and practical reasoning. To know the laws of nature and to decide whether we should use the laws for one way or another, our actions. Okay. Aristotle thought that to be truly happy, you must become a virtuous person. This is the most fulfilling position to be in. The virtuous person will act morally because they want to, since they know it makes them happy. Virtue is not an easy state to achieve. It takes hard work and practice as well as the right upbringing. Virtue ethics is a life study. The virtuous life is an ongoing project that you must work on at all times in all your life. We are like archers aiming at a target of goodness. How do you become a virtuous person? The first way is look at around you for examples of virtuous people. And then develop good habits like them. So we have the top left-hand corner, Jesus. And then we have Mother Teresa. And then we have God in the middle. God. In the movie Bruce Almighty.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he's an actor. Okay. And then we have Nelson Mandela. And then we have at least the Buddha here. And I forgot who that person is. Oprah. So find good examples, but be careful. Examples often destroy your confidence in people when they mess up. So don't idolize these people. Look at their example and try to follow them. A virtue is a character trait or quality that is good and contributes to happiness. The opposite of a virtue is a vice. Too much of the virtue is not enough. Excess and deficiency. Vices are personality traits that undermine your or others' happiness. These are negative and should be avoided. Self-respect is good. Too much becomes arrogance, pride, and vanity. Virtues require different actions in different situations, so there are no absolute good or bad actions. Depends on the situation. Okay, we go through intellectual virtues and moral virtues. You can read that later because I'm running out of time. This is what we talked about yesterday. Too much of a virtue is excess, and too little is deficiency. Sorry, they switched the sides here. A deficiency is not enough of the virtue, and an excess is too much of the virtue. And he has what's called the doctrine of the mean. Now, on this seesaw, teeter-totter, make sure that you understand that the mean is not exactly in the middle, 50%. You excess deficiency. You have to fluctuate depending on your situation, your maturity, your experience in life, your understanding of life and yourself. And as we talked about yesterday in terms of somebody's drowning, I'm on the deficiency side, which is called cowardly. Coward. There's a curve because I can't swim. James yesterday was more on the excess side, somewhere the excess side because he's trained and golden cross, possesses golden cross, a lot of training on swimming and how to save people. So depending on your situation, this mean is going to be somewhere here. And it's also important to know that this mean will shift as you experience life, experience the events of life, and deal with things that happen. You'll move left or right depending on how you are. If you have a bad experience, you're going to move towards the excess, not the deficiency. If you have a good experience, you're going to get more confidence and move towards the excess. Okay. Look familiar? From Socrates and Plato. Remember, Aristotle was Socrates and was Plato's teacher, student. Sorry. So Socrates was a master, the teacher. His student was Plato, and Plato's student was Aristotle. He just changes things a bit around, develops it further. Okay, courage involves mastering our fear. We have the painting of the screen. That's what we're dealing with in the introductory lesson we have. Courage is willing to give your life for the good you value. No freedom without courage. Too little courage is cowardice. Too much courage is rashness. This is a little quiz. A soldier in Iraq sees his mate fall in battle. What do? Leave him and run away. That would be an act of cowardice and abandonment and denial and betrayal. Go chasing after him without any regard for safety. Rash, because you're not thinking. This is a war zone. Organize a plan using other members of his team to rescue a fallen soldier. That's the best way. Not too much, not too little, just right, but think it through. Temperate, to choose the mean, willingly limit your pleasures. Enjoy temperance. Moderation comes to food. Too much is being drunk or eating too much. Promiscuity. Freely act within limits. The vice is enslaving. Justice. Give what is due to the others. Too much justice is a problem. Too little justice is a problem. So just the right sense. He talks about two types of justice, and we're going to look at three types later, actually 3.5, 4. Distributive justice, giving or taking of good or evils fairly to others according to proportionality by merit deserved. Corrective, restoration of equality between individuals where one has wrongly injured the other. Distributive is what society distributes to you. So, for example, free education is distributive justice. As a society, we all pay taxes, and the government has money to provide for education that's free for everybody because everybody deserves an education and you should not be prohibited by money. My parents grew up in Italy. After grade 6, even if they could travel to another town outside of Rome to go to high school or intermediate school. This is your problem. How do you get there? How far is it? You have to live there. We have a lot of visa students who come to Canada who are halfway around the world back home with their parents missing them and pay visa fees more than you can imagine. So as a society, we say education is important. You have to mature, learn, become a good person. The way you do that is we help you in education. So we provide school and we provide it free. This is why I always say schools were in the freedom business. When you leave St. Rob's, they're going to start charging you for college university. And if you really want to go to college university, then we have something called OSAP. Some of it's grants, some of it's loans, some you have to pay back, some you don't pay back. So we help you. But we're going to want the money back. But at least you have the money to be able to go to university or college. Once you graduate, you'll hopefully get a good job and make a lot more money than if you did not get a college university education. And you'll be able to afford to give it back to society so others can get it as well. Even Canadian Tire has what's called our Jumpstart program. For those who want to participate in sports, there are grants given out to people who want to play organized sports but can't afford the fees that come with it. Okay. Corrective justice is that when people break the laws, they have an advantage. So we're going to correct their behavior and take away that advantage that they got by cheating or lying or stealing or killing. Okay? We'll talk more about justice later. Honesty, other virtues. Honesty is being fair. It's not cheating until you get caught. That's in fact sort of the motto at St. Rob's that I found. I've been here for 13 years now. And the idea at St. Rob's is everybody cheats, and you must be really stupid if you get caught. And you shame everybody else because you didn't get away with it. Okay. We'll leave it at that. You read the rest. These are similar to the chart that I sent you, the different virtues. So what Aristotle wants us to do is to become a virtuous person. In order to be happy, you have to do the good things. So the virtuous person is down the middle, the yellow. On the white is everything that you're going to deal with. So first one we looked at fear. You respond to fear with courage. Pleasures and pains, you respond with temperance. Not too much of something, not too little of it, just right. Okay. Getting and spending, money, shopping, liberality, and on it goes. So what Aristotle wants you to do as a virtuous person to be really happy for Aristotle is someone who is courageous, someone who is temperate, someone who shows liberality, magnificence, proper pride. But pride is important. Self-respect is important. He calls this high-mindedness. Too much pride leads to arrogance and vanity. And too little pride is pusillanimity, and there's something, another term, I forgot what it was. Not having enough confidence in yourself, shining away. I want you to have ambition, but proper ambition. Don't let ambition take over and you step over and hurt everybody to do what you want. Good temper. It's right. It's okay to get angry. When you see things that happen, something boils up inside of you. Your conscience gets you bored. Anger is a sign that something is wrong with the situation. So we saw a picture of the Holocaust and all those bodies being dumped in a mass grave. It stirs anger in you. Something is wrong with this picture. It's intolerable. How can humanity act this way? So it's okay to be angry, but not to the extreme. Too little anger or not enough anger. Truthfulness, wittiness, it's okay to have fun, but don't become a buffoon. A buffoon is an ape, which is behind his post. Okay? Buffoonery is someone who's never serious, making fun of everybody to have fun. Or boorish. Friendliness, modesty, and top indignation. So Aristotle wants us to work in life to find this mean, this yellow. You're going to be pushed left and right, depending on the situations you find yourself in the white, but you'll get better and better and better. That's called maturity. That's called wisdom. For all of your life, not just now. High-minded man and woman, must care more for the truth than what people think. That's high-mindedness. Be happy with yourself. Don't worry about what people think about you, what they say about you. You distinguish between involuntary acts, when people force you to do things, or you don't know, or you don't want to know, the ignorance, or something from outside is pushing you, as opposed to voluntary acts where you know and you're making your own decisions. And following in the steps of Socrates and Plato, know yourself means know what you're doing, why you're doing, the effects of what you're doing, but make sure it's your decision, not somebody else's decision. Moral weakness, no one can know the good and not choose it. If you know cheating is bad, don't cheat. Simple as that. If you know stealing is bad, don't shoplift. If you know that treating people with equality is good, then treat people with respect and equality. That just summarizes everything. And then we looked at the Nicomachean ethics. And I just want to go, this is why we need friends. Essentially, we are social animals. We need others to love, and we need others to love us. And this is where we learn to grow up, to mature, to become wise, how we interact with each other. And the 3 kinds of friendships we looked at, and I read your journals once up until 3 o'clock yesterday. Thank you very much, they're really good. The first one is friendships of use, utility. Next one is friendships of pleasure, what pleasure you get out of the people. And both these are, according to Aristotle, are short-lived. They don't last. The happiness only lasts as long as the usefulness of the person or the pleasure you get from the person. Once the usefulness, like someone is your friend because they need help with their chemistry homework is done, when there's no more chemistry, there's no more friendship. And pleasure, I use the example of sex. You get what you want, sex, and then you move on. Person is nothing but a sex object, not a human being, not treated with respect. Friendship of virtue is perfect friendship. You treat people like they are most important thing. You wish the well of the other. We call that benevolence. These, according to Aristotle, are long-lasting. And I read your journals, and some of you agreed, some of you disagreed, and they're all excellent answers. Thank you very much for your journals. True friendship. Virtue friends help make you a better person. They don't lie to you. They tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not. They don't tell you the truth because they want to make fun of you or put you down. They want you to be better. They're honest with you. They help you know yourself. They let you know if your judgment is good or bad. You mess up, they'll tell you. They support you in projects that are tough but good for you. And friends are pleasurable. They make people happy. Part of a good life is being able to exercise our virtues and our friends and enjoy sharing that experience. And that's it. Okay. Okay, where are we here? And go to our Google Meet class. And I've lost my screen. Okay, I lost my screen. That's okay. Let's see what we have here. Well, okay, say ask a question. What's your next test? Next week on Emmanuel, on Aristotle, Kant, and Levinas. We're going to watch a movie later in the week. Okay, let's see what we have here. I don't need to have this screen now anymore. Guess I have to do this again, right? There we go. Okay, first of the class. Any questions about Emmanuel Kant first? Yes. Okay, yeah, sure. Journal. This is for everyone. For Kevin, no, I did not assign 1.1 theological ethics from the textbook because I like the handout that I gave you. Okay, so for your journal, the title is Kant. I think I said duty to not cheat on a test. So you have to apply the two maxims. Essentially, what I want for your journal is two big paragraphs. The first paragraph is the first maxim. Do not do to others what you would not want done to you. So Kant's duty not to cheat on a test because you would want people to cheat on tests or relationships or etc. Okay. And secondly, second maxim is cheating is not treating everybody else like people. Their silence is giving you an advantage. Their acceptance of you cheating, if they see you cheating, they know you're cheating, is not benefiting them. You're not treating them with fairness, not just. So two paragraphs. One paragraph, first maxim. So say what the maxim is, explain what it means, and apply it to cheating on that. That's all. Respect the problem. Do you disagree with it? Or do you have the philosophy at St. Rob's? Cheat until you get caught, and you must be really stupid if you get caught. Therefore, everybody who doesn't get caught is really smart. Questions? Any other questions? That's your journal for today. The second thing I want you to do is from the textbook, Emmanuel Levinas, who is a modern day philosopher, a Jewish philosopher, who was very good friends with Pope John Paul II. Pope John Paul II was a philosophy professor at the University of somewhere north of Italy, and he and Levinas always communicate with each other. You'll see his teaching tomorrow. So Emmanuel Levinas is for homework. I put that in the email. You don't send it to me. We'll take it up tomorrow. All you have to send to me today, besides your test, which we done this morning, is your journal on Emmanuel Kant. This, I believe, is going to be your fifth journal. So after today's journal, I'll be able to record a mark out of 10 your journals and put it in my computer under thinking and inquiry. If you done all 5 journals, you got 10 out of 10, you're 100%. Okay. Any other questions from the class first and I'll see online? So the journal, send it to me. Finish this everything now. And Emmanuel Kant, Emmanuel Levinas, or Emmanuel with a E. No questions? Yeah. I think you at home, so I'll work till about 3 o'clock or so. Mark everything. I'm happy with marking your movie assignments. So far, pretty good. I'm doing the question on virtues, which is wrong. Everything I'll do now. So far, so good. I'll have them all things tomorrow. Okay, let's see any questions online. So for Kevin, no, Aristotle we covered through the handout I gave you. Michelle, 3 questions. I think there's 4 questions. Unless okay, you don't have your package yet, do you? Okay, I sent a copy of the questions, but there's 4 questions for. Is it 3 questions or 4 questions for Emmanuel Levinas in your package? Let me check with Michelle, and I can scan it again to you and send it to you. So it's in the question package. It's the second page of the question package. It's after time. Four? There's 4 questions. Okay, Michelle, there are 4 questions. I will scan them again to you and send it to you. And this is out of the textbook. So you use your virtual textbook that I sent you until you get your package. Okay. There's still 3 students who haven't got the package. Michelle, I know about. Helia and Oliver. Your package is still outside the office. You have to make arrangements to pick them up, please. Okay, Michelle. Any other questions? So I'll get I must have if I had a copy not scanned the last question. So my apologies. I'll do that after class. Okay. Any other questions from the class?
So the only assignment when they hand in is our journal, right, for today?
Good. First test. Next test will be easier. Like small test. So we'll have our next test. Next test is Aristotle, Kant, and Levinas, all 3 together. Same thing. I'll give you a story, and I'm going to ask you what would Aristotle say, what would Kant say, what would Levinas say. So 3 parts. But it's still a lot of writing. You're very solving. But nothing will surprise you. I think that's very quality of lots of freedom to interpret, but the most important thing is you must always explain. Let's see, I have a question here. When do we get our progress report? Okay, good. Good question. Your progress reports, as soon as I mark the test, either by the end of the week, by Friday, I should have your progress reports, or earlier. I try to aim for Thursday or Friday to give you guys a good weekend. Okay, so okay, Say, thanks for asking. Because we're distance learning, even those who are coming here, we don't want to exchange paper. If there's any question on any of the assignments, you let me know, and I will scan the mark assignment back to you, and you can look it over, and you can correct my mistakes. Okay, for Anas, ask a question for your journal. Use Kant's two maxims. Do not do to others what you do not want done to you, and treat people always as ends, not as a means to an end. It's in your homework, and it's also in the PowerPoint presentation. And reflect upon whether or not Kant is right, that it's our duty not to cheat on the test. So use the two maxims. So basically what I want is two big paragraphs for one whole page. So half a page for first maxim, half a page for a second maxim. This is the key to understanding Immanuel Kant. Okay.
Sir, hi, this is Jade.
Okay.
Hi, sir. Oh, can you hear me?
I think he's away from the mic.
Oh, hi, sir.